Welcome, welcome. My name is Jeannine A, and I'm the Adult Services Manager for Gwinnett County Public Library. Thank you so much for being here. We're proud to be partnering tonight with The Bookseller, which is the name of the bookstore in the back. Thank you for being here. Fantastic partner. If you haven't been to the Bookseller bookstore in Conyers, make the trip. The long journey. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a long journey. But it's worth it. We also have some refreshments back there, so please take that. And we are joined by two wonderful guests, primarily our featured author of the evening, Jeannine Cook. Jeannine is the founder and owner of three avant-garde bookshop concepts, Harriet's in Philadelphia, Ida's in South Jersey, and Josephine's, a literary installation in Paris. You have to say Paris like that. She holds an MFA from Drexel University. It's Me They Follow is her first novel. And Gabrielle Dudley will be in conversation with Jeannine. She is an archivist and librarian with a passion for preserving and sharing stories that illuminate Black history and culture. She also is the creator of the Gabrielle Guide, which is a lifestyle and wellness platform for Black women where she shares her love of books, travel, and intentional living. Let's give them both a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Gina, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you all so much for being here. And thank you, Jeannine, so much for being here.
I feel like I'm awake and asleep. Like, I feel like I'm dreaming and I'm, okay.
Well, we're all in a dream here. We're all in a dream to be with you.
Aw, and same, like, this is, again, I want to just say a little bit. Okay?
Yes, for sure.
Gina, you came to Philly and the bookshop was flooded. The basement was flooded at a bookshop. But I was speaking at a conference, and one of the people who came through my line to get an early copy was Gina. And in that moment, we both connected very quickly. We only had like seconds because everybody's like, tick, 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 tick. And she was like, "You want to come?" "Yes." "All right, we're gonna make it happen." "All right." And then it was just like that, And so you gotta have people like that who, help make it happen for you. You don't make it happen by yourself. And so, Gina, I just thank you so much for making a way. It really is an honor to be here. And thank you, Gabby, too.
Yes, yeah. Gina's definitely a woman that makes things happen.
Yeah, I see.
For sure.
I see, because I'm in from Philly.
So as Gina mentioned, It's Me They Follow is your first novel. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yes. So It's Me They Follow. You meet a shopkeeper who I keep reminding people that even though she looks like me and she dresses like me, and she has a bookshop with the same name as my bookshop, she is not me. And she's a shopkeeper who has given herself 30 days to get over an immense fear of touch. And she just knows that if she wants to open a bookshop someday, she's never going to be able to do so if she has this fear holding her back. Along the way, once she makes that declaration that she's doing this thing, she finds out that she has some other interesting gifts that kind of equate to being something of a matchmaker. And matchmaker can mean many things, in this context.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you said she's not you, and we get that, right?
But so everybody's like, "Well, that's you right there," and I said, "No, that's a painting."
Let's talk about that, though, right? Let's talk about that. How did that image come to be on the cover?
So we start with It's Me They Follow. Even to go back to the name of the book, right? The name of the book is actually the line of a poem. Many, many years ago, we hosted an event called Resurrecting the Spirit of Our Ancestors. And this had to be a good, some teens, years ago. And everyone that was invited, so I asked everyone to consider an ancestor who they would like to spend more time with, right? And bring some sort of offering or gift to that ancestor to this event. And my gift was this poem that I felt like was, at least from my experience, was channeled from Harriet. And at the end of the poem, she says, "It's me they follow, it's me they follow, it's me they follow." And that It's Me They Follow has stayed with me and traveled with me, just like Harriet has stayed with me and traveled with me. And there's been iterations of it. There was a group that turned it into a dance. There was a group that, it's been all types of things, and now it's a novel. So it's like this interesting way in which, a seed gets planted and then it starts to change and grow and change and grow. But that said, everywhere I go, I also then throw that back out to the audience, right? Like, so as you're here, thinking about whose shoulders you stand on, right? And you can interpret that in a lot of different ways. But I actually ask people to really turn to their person next to you and talk about that. But so it's like a nice full circle moment, because this is my last stop of this leg of the tour.
Oh, wow.
I was telling Gabrielle earlier, like 11 cities in 6 weeks across 2 continents, and here we are. So, this is it. Okay, sorry. Back to the regular.
worries,
Back to the
yeah.
programming.
No.
Yes.
I think that was a really good segue, and thank you, because it reminds me that you seem as nosy as I am. Yeah. And, that was actually very similar to a question I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if it's because I'm an archivist and a librarian, but I'm also really interested in literary lineages.
Yeah.
And, meaning that I'm really interested in who is teaching who and who's learning from who. So I want to know how writers, especially Black women, learn the craft of writing from others. And I am wondering, who do you feel has taught you, and who do you feel that you're teaching?
Ooh, those are great. I think that there's a lot of things happening all at once as we continue to blossom as ourselves, right? So I can remember now, because my aunt is here, I think about my uncle who gave me a poem when I was really, really young. And he was the first man I ever seen cry from a poem. He read us this beautiful poem and just started crying. And I was like, whoa, just to see the fact that words could move somebody who I thought was and is a strong, strong person, but he was so moved by what it was saying. And I was like, dang, that's just beautiful. I would love to be able to do that, whatever that was. And so that's kind of one way of thinking about it. Then there's the people you meet where it's just this journey has been strange, right? I have interviewed Alice Walker, but I remember being younger and first reading Alice Walker and being like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be reading this, feeling I'm reading in the back, oh my gosh, and then to interview her in real life and ask her about, I was like, she wrote this book about, she shared all her journals for 60 years. And I was just like, you told us everything. You had the you told us who she was flirting with, and she was mad at Quincy Jones because she liked him and he was with somebody else. I was just like, what is this? And she was like, this is story medicine. There's nothing off limits, right? And that's our work as medicine women, is to produce the medicine. And I'm like, whoa, so, and to have Alice Walker really tell me that, there's Sonia Sanchez, who, again, who plays a heavy role in this particular book, but also in my real life, right? And who, she just calls me sometimes, and I'm just like, how does Sonia Sanchez know my phone number? This is wild. And she'll be telling me stories about June Jordan and telling me stories, and just telling me things that I think are a part of the tradition, that she's you need to have this piece as you are preparing, as you are on this spectrum, right, of the tradition. So, there's tons though, that. Nikki Giovanni taught me how to fry chicken. Right,
wow,
what kind of random life, just random that. But was also giving me real information and stuff, So it's just okay, this is yeah.
Okay, so wow.
Yeah, it keeps this. It's like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I need you to be teaching me.
Okay.
If these ladies call you,
yes.
I need you to be
right.
teaching me.
And that was your second part of your question, which is whoever you come through, I'll give you what I have to give. Sure.
So then that brings me to like a question I wanted to, I think, ask a little bit earlier, especially because you, talked about Sanchez, and she does play a big role in this book.
Yeah.
And, you very much talked about how, you're not the shopkeeper, but like, can you talk about a little bit about what it's like to write a novel that does have some resonance with your own life, but trying to keep that sort of separate to write this fictional story?
Yes, yeah.
And like, how did you develop your characters?
Yeah. Okay, so the story behind It's Me They Follow is something like this. I wrote a memoir called Shut Up and Read. And I went out into the market. I met a woman. She became my agent. I know everybody makes it sound like it's like, oh, that just happened. But I literally tweeted out, I'm ready for an agent. Like, it was just like, if you've read the book, there's a part where the shopkeeper is just like, I am a shopkeeper. So that I remember that day, I was like, I'm ready for an agent. And I tweeted it out. And then agents started writing me. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is really happening. And none of those agents became my agent. What really happened is this one lady, I pick up the phone, again, like Sonia Sanchez, and this woman is just like, my goddaughter told me I need to call you. And I get a lot of calls. If you're, you sell books, you get lots and lots and lots of calls. So I was like, okay, what does your goddaughter need? And she's just like, she told me you need an agent. I said, okay, yes, I really do need an agent. And she was like, I'm Marie Brown. And I was like, oh, the Marie Brown. And she was, I knew of her. I had her on I had put her up on a part of my wall because she had said some things about Harriet that resonated with me. And she said, Jeannine, if you really, if you're serious about this, send me your pages. Let me see what you have. I sent her an email and I was just like, can you tell me in 5 days if you can be my agent? I was like, I can't wait. I don't want to wait more than 5 days. And she was like, I remember at the end of the 5th day and I called her and she was just like, I just said to myself, what kind of gumption this child got to tell me that she need to know in 5 days? And I was like, I didn't think I could hold my breath more than that. Like, I was just like, but she really did take me on as an agent. And long story short, she says, we went out with the memoir and Amistad HarperCollins, who had saw that tweet, and they were like, when you get an agent, hit us up. And so I was like, I got an agent. And they said, Abby, who's my editor at Amistad, said she actually had an idea and she wanted to commission me to write a novel. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And she was like, she thought that it might be interesting to have like a bookshop universe of that these could be a series and each one could take part in different parts of the bookshops. Like, so one could take place at Harriet's, one could take place at Ida's, one could take place at Josephine's, and so forth and so on. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. It felt fun. And then she didn't give me anything else. Like, she was just like, oh yeah, and you got like 3 months to give us, like, let us know if you can write or not. And I was like, and I had never, in school, anything, I wrote creative nonfiction. I didn't write fiction. But I think in some ways that prepared me for what this feels like, which is, to me, it feels like a game. It feels playful. It's like, oh, you could play along with me and kind of like, there's parts of it where I'm taking you into these worlds, but I'm also, just like this character has this very wild imagination. And so sometimes you're way out there with her somewhere, and then she's just like, or maybe I just imagine that, and then so that the whole book has that surrealist feel. And I think my life also has that surrealist feel. That's how it feels to me. Even this moment feels somewhat surrealist. I'm in here with my aunt and my cousin, and, people actually showed up to hear me talk about a book that I actually wrote that, it's like, it's wow. But yeah, so did I answer your question?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that was great.
I went around the mulberry bush.
But something that you said is really intriguing. It wasn't a question that I had prepared, but I would love to hear you talk about, like, what does it mean to be working with a publisher that has an idea about what you should be writing about, or like gives you an idea to write about something? Like, what does that do for your own creative process?
Yeah, it was
and knowing that they're going to make money off of something.
I mean, what's the other part to it, and the powerful part about having Miss Marie as my agent, right? You have an 86-year-old or 80-something-year-old agent who's like, I've been in this industry longer than both your parents been alive. Like like, I know these things, right? And it's very, and she's so sweet as pie. She talks so, Jeannine, you know, my dear, how are you? But when I tell you, she don't play no games. And so she has the whole way, I think, championed me to live out my version of what this should be and not capitulate to whatever, you know, outside forces might think is what I should do, right? And so that's like how the cover worked. And that's how the story, even the narrative worked, is like, she was just like, if you don't like something, say you don't like it. A lot of times new authors, new anything, you get new into a field, you're kind of like, I'm just gonna do the thing, I'm trying to do my best, I don't wanna ruffle too many feathers. I kept telling her, I don't want them to think I'm a diva. I don't want them to think I'm a diva. And she was just like, girl, just get in there and you tell them, if you don't like it, it's no. And so, yeah, but that's how I ended up with a product that I could stand on and feel integrity toward, versus like, you know, I was washed all over the place and then I ended up with whatever I got.
I love that.
Yeah.
Miss Marie standing on business.
Yeah, she don't play about no
love it.
games. And she did sell the memoir. That those two things were sold together, right? So I said I'll write this commissioned novel if you still buy the memoir. So the memoir will come out in March, Harriet Tubman Day, March 10th. And so you'll see kind of how those two worlds overlap.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you're coming back to Atlanta too. Okay,
That's,
Gina.
you're right. I look at Gina like,
it.
Gina. I tell Gina everything else I want to do with life too. Like, Gina, I want to go to Japan. Like,
Yes.
she make it happen. Yeah.
So, you know, selfishly, I think I'm in my lover girl era, and I think also like Black romance is having a really big moment right now. But I don't really consider this book a romance,
That's
and I don't, you know, but I think The Matchmaker, it's a love story.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the different love connect without any spoilers?
Right.
The different love connections and writing. I mean, there's a lot of love connections in this book, but there's a lot of different types of love connections.
Right.
There's familial love.
Right.
There's friendship. There's so many different types of love connections. Can you talk about how you wove that throughout this book? Because we see love like develop over the course of this book, but it's like developing within, really, when you think about it, the course of a month.
30 days.
Yeah.
Everything's happening in 30 days. Yeah, I was telling you also, I said, you know, we went back and forth about this, the word on the cover being a novel versus a romance. And I was like, you all, it's just really not what people think of when they think of a romance, right? And so I think it's a love story, and there are many love stories in it, but it's not like people will feel like they were gypped if they read it as think they're reading a more typical romance. Which also, a novel just gave me freedom in a way where it's just like all the things that it is, it's okay to be all of those things if it's a novel. And so again, that was one of those, Miss Marie, go in there. Like, Miss Marie, she was like, but yeah, I think that when you are a shopkeeper, the field specifically is about matchmaking. People, I mean, to our bookseller back there, you're shaking your head, yes, because I feel like you know, right? Like, folks are always, your job is to match people, say.
Yeah, and our job is right. We're in so many different roles, and that's part of our job.
Yeah, it's just. And it could be community matching. So it's like, oh, you know who you need to talk to? You need to talk to Gina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be, you know, and sometimes it is like more than that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's an interesting job to have, because you kind of play as a community hub when you're a shopkeeper. And I think it was interesting to try to write from the perspective of somebody who has this fear of touch. Well, how do you navigate love and relationships when you have that kind of fear? And it is a real, and they asked me early on, they was like, is this a condition? And I was like, yes, it's a real condition. And they were like, well, is it physical or is it emotional? And in the book, it even says it's both, right? Like, there's no differentiation. It's right. She ain't with it. And you spend a lot of time in the book, she spends a lot of time trying to figure out where it came from, right? And so that's part of her like wild imagination. It's like, well, maybe it came from this, and then maybe it came from that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I am. Her imagination is something that is really intriguing in the book, because it's also something that helps her to go through this real rebirth that's happening over and over in this book. But it's so subtle, and it happens in so many different ways. How do you like do that in such a creative way without just saying, okay, she may get over her fear of touch in this book, but but she's learning how to be more in community. She's learning how to, speak up for herself. Like, there's so many other ways that she's learning how to do this, but it doesn't come out in just like one clear path for her. How do you write that? How do you sort of do that for a character, but you have to do that within 1 month's time for this character?
Right. It's like, I don't know.
I was really intrigued by that. I was like, how is this going to work out? Because this is 1 month.
Yeah. I mean, and it's simple. That's the thing, is like, it's a very simple, like most people are like, I read it quick, it's a simple storyline, which I needed, because so when I was at Drexel, one of the things that my professor would tell me all the time was like, Jeannine, think about time. So for any of our writers in the room, this will resonate with you, is that time becomes like your container, and it will help you as long as you use it, versus like forgetting that it exists, and then you can get stuck and lost all over the place, and you feel like you want to tell this part of the story and that part of the story. But if you think about constraint, that constraint can help you to stay kind of on course. And so that 30 days really helped me to stay on course. But I think the other thing with the shopkeeper is that you learn about her through all these relationships that she has, right? You learn that, and then there's all these interesting naming devices that was an issue with the publisher, who they were like, Jeannine, we don't like this because you just name everybody. And I was just like, and not so much we don't like it, but they were like, this is going to confuse people because you have a shopkeeper. And at the time I had no names. Everybody was like, my grandmother, my da-da-da. Like no one was named. And the name and the main kind of like love interest is named Me. So then it's just like, you got people all over the place, right? Like, and they was like, Jeannine, they was like, fix it. And I was just, exactly. And so I did too. And so I went back, and that's one of those examples where I went back and was just like, listen, I will give certain people names. So you have like her writers group, they all have a name, right? And the writers group is kind of like, again, like a group of her friends that she gets to spend a good amount of time with. You see that she says, what I love about having a writer's group is that we touch each other in ways that don't require physical touch, but it's still deep and intimate. And for anybody who's been in a writer's group, that that's the case. Like, and then she also says something funny, because she has a very interesting sense of humor. She also says, but then I can't remember the names of anybody who's writing I don't like. And so she just like they don't exist in her world. It's just like her 6 favorite writers in the class that she really, really loves. So those people all got names. The sister got a name, because before she was just sister. And they were like, Jeannine, could we get something, And so I kind of grounded it in certain places. And then I kept things that I like. So the shopkeeper didn't change. The grandmother is still the grandmother. The sisters write letters. So there's an epistolary kind of like thread throughout. They write letters to each other. And so you see how they sign their names off to each other throughout the novel as well.
Yeah. And it's so surprising to me that people said they finished the book quickly. Because I am a person that usually reads a book very, very fast. And my best friend is here, my boyfriend's here, and they know that I've been talking to them a long time about this book. And any book that is going to stick with me for a long time, and I'm usually a fast reader, I read the book slowly. And I have been talking to everybody about this book because, there are so many pieces that, like, there are places that I had to like reread so that I could be like, wait, that was really profound.
Oh, wow.
Like there's certain places in this book, and I think we're just taken on a real journey here. And this story is one that if you haven't read it, it's just one of those ones that like we talked about it being a puzzle, and you're really just going on a journey within this book. And, you know, I will say that I have never been so disappointed in a postscript of a book because I was like, oh, I'm about to get something good, something extra. I'm about to, it's going to be, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. I see what, okay, I see what she did.
Does it make
here.
sense now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, oh, I see what she did here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was like, all right, y'all.
You're
So
not the first person to be like, ah. And I was like, what?
give me what I want.
What do you want me to do? What do you want to do? What do you want me to do? You know, like, I'm trying to make a series.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
And I just, in my mind, I left it open that it could be a series. Like, in my mind, it's a series. If they buy the next one or not, I'm still gonna write it because in my mind, it's a series.
Okay, that has me hooked, and that is the perfect segue into tell us what's next for you. Okay. What are you working on?
Oh my goodness.
Besides your memoir that's coming out in March.
Well, and it's done, so I'm not even working on that anymore. And it's a weird feeling. Cause like, remember, I'm like, like so hard, and now all of a sudden it's like I felt like I felt this empty feeling, which I have had to like really reckon with, because it's like, what am I do now? And it's just like, you gonna sit still. It's like, sit still. Why would I sit still? I don't want to sit still. It's just like, no, because that's what you need to do. You need to sit still, right? Like you just birthed something. Like that's the reason why after a birth they have you sit still for a bit. You ain't outside just doing the Cardi B of it all. Like you can't. Like some people can, but you know what I mean. It's not that easy. You know, you really need to sit still for a bit, and like, you know, that's where it's at right now. Is like, okay, well, I'm doing this, right? So I'm touring, and this is the end of that piece. And I think even this is gonna now feel like an emptiness. Like now I don't have that part. You know, what is it now? But then it's just forcing me to be present in a way that like when I didn't have to necessarily be present when I was here. I could go into this. I was in this universe. I loved it in there. I love playing with the characters. I love playing with the audience. I love like thinking about what we were gonna do later, you know, like once everybody's read it. And then I was like, is the world not reading this? Like, it's so funny. I'm like, I want everybody to hurry up and read it so we can play the games. But y'all, they'll get there. Anyway, but like there's cool things happening. Like there's a restaurant in Philly that's turning the book into a 6-course meal. So that's gonna be like an interesting, like they're gonna
play Jill Scott too.
They should now.
Right,
but when when I did my talk in Philly, I had a violinist come and play Jill Scott. So then it was just like they got to have that element. I mean, the tour has been all types of things. There was one where like the steel pan came and they did like we did like story night, and we were like in a circle with drums, and it was.
There's so much really that can be done with all of the things.
Right,
in this book,
and that's what I'm waiting for everybody to read it so we can play the games.
We deserve that sweetness.
That's right. That's right. And the people who came into Harriet's and got the book got honey with theirs. So yeah, they got some of that sweetness, which will, you know, make sense to people once they've read it. Yeah, some people got oil, like they got the smell of me in their packaging. So like we had this company. So, and then there's also my responsibility to the businesses, to small business, that I feel I don't know what that is, but it does feel like I often want to. Like, how can we support the artisans? Like, how many people can a book really support? It doesn't have to just be, oh, you read this book. When you get this book, that you got that local honey from the woman who does honey, but she got the herbs from the lady in the community who does herbs. And then the oil man did the oils. You know, so it's like thinking about as much as possible how we can serve if we can. And that's a part of the game, too, I think.
Yeah. I love that. So it's now the time for us to open it up for questions.
Hey.
All right. Should I take the mic? Okay.
I have a question. So you mentioned series. So how long do you wait before you go to the next book?
So, okay, I could write really well in Paris, and people think I'm being funny when I say that.
Mm.
They're like, oh, can you
Me
now?
too.
You know, but I'm just like, over there, I don't know the language. I think it helps me. And so when I was in Paris, like we do a program from Philly to Paris where we take young people, and now it's even like, it's people who need to get passports and get their freedom papers, what I call freedom papers, together. And so we're like, get your passport, help you get your passport, go to Paris, right? That's been like this, our own little overground, underground railroad situation. And when I take folks over there, all of a sudden, it's just so simple. I could just, the voices, it's so clear. And so I started the next one, I think, like at least the workings of the first scene, the last time we were in Paris. But I got back to Philly, nothing. Quiet, crickets. I was working on the other parts of my brain, I think. Yeah. Yep. So we'll see how long it, Then it's like Jeannine, you just saying that because you want to go to Paris. Yes. And yes.
That's really a comment. I think one of my favorite things, and you hit the nail on the head with saying it's like a puzzle. That's what I was thinking when I was reading it. But it's the genres. And I'm thinking when I go to my book club next, and after we go through our said book, we all go around and tell what we've read. And I can turn to the people who love romance and say, this is for you. And the ones who like historical, because you've got all the music and the food and Harriet Dove, and then of course the letters, the epistolary portion, and we've got ones in there who love road trips. You've got road trips, and the ones who love family dynamics. You've got the sister, the parents, the grandma. I mean, it's everything. So the genre and the magical realism in there too. I mean, it's everything. How would you describe the genre?
Yeah, I think
If you had to.
Yeah, it's, I'd say I'm genre fluid. That's what I tell people all the time. I be like, I'm just genre fluid. I don't know.
And when they ask me, I'm gonna say, I can't pick.
Just tell them
All I
she's
can
genre
say-
fluid.
I can just tell them it's unique and delightful, and
Yeah.
they need to read it.
Yeah, right. But so, Auntie Janice, I just feel like I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to say something. So this is my auntie who is a writer, right? Like I watch you travel the world as a writer, as a scholar. Like, there's no way that doesn't affect us because you're the auntie who does that. You're the woman in the family who gets up and does these things that everybody's like, what? You're in Brazil, you're teaching what? It's just like, so I don't know if you would care to just share anything, Auntie, about just your journey or what it's like being here or whatever. Yeah.
Well, being here is like the ancestors have sent me. They have sent me to touch you, to lay hands on you, to tell you that we are proud of you, and to let you know that they continue to walk and guide you. I hear you and I hear the voices. It's me they follow. I hear the voices of our grandparents, great-grandparents who taught me story time, sitting around a lampshade in the dark. My great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, who taught us how to tell stories. So they live, I know that I'm looking at you with kind of teary-eyed and saying, oh, there goes Mina living inside her. So without us knowing that, when they say, whose shoulders you're standing on, our great-great-great-grandparents who came from China, Venezuela, and all parts of the world now live in us and allow you to become and continue to be someone of whom we are truly proud.
Thank you, Auntie. Yeah. And it's funny because if you look at your book, like when I sign it, it says to our great-great-grandchildren with love, right? Because that's who I think this is, like when I'm thinking about who it's for, that's who it's for. It's who we can,
Yeah.
I'm like, I think, even if the folks now don't get the game, I'm like, them kids, they're gonna be like, look what I found, somebody's gonna get it and they're gonna have a good time with it. And I think it's those great-great-grandchildren who we don't know what books are gonna look like and that for them, or how easy or hard it will be for them to access books in that future, right? Like we're in a real shifting world. And I'm so thankful for an opportunity to place one down. If there is a book inside of you, I tell everybody everywhere we go, now's the time. No time like the present. Roll that thing on out, and it doesn't have to be the perfect book. Just get it out. And, there's a such thing called editors, so you just do your part, get that story out of yourself. And then, we'll do the rest. And whatever the call is, it might not be that you're called to write, right? Like her call was that call. And even when I think about Harriet's, when I think about the fact that 6 weeks, if I had waited 6 weeks longer, there would be no Harriet's, right? It would just not have happened because of COVID and all of the ways in which like miracles continue to happen in and out of Harriet's all the time. And I'm just so thankful for that. I'm thankful for ancestors that guide and protect, right? And just knowing that that's the case, like without question, so we can put our foot in front of the next,
Yes.
Thank y'all so much.